This is the F1000 podcast.
I love it. It's a good start.
Salute. Welcome back to F1000. I'm Chaps, that's Mike, and we're here again to bet $1,000 on tomorrow's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, Mike, where do you want to start today?
I want to start in the mud right away. I'm going to throw out something that I thought of. I actually tweeted it out when I was watching qualifying. Just, why are you giving me that look? Just wait till I have... I know, you don't like
put me in the mud
games.
right from the...
I know, just listen. Plus 125 for the Williams, one of them not to classify. The problem with Jeddah, I mean, if you watch anything this weekend, I mean, it's tight, right? The whole circuit is high speed, it's tight, you got walls everywhere, and you've got two drivers who we've seen in the past, they've gone into walls. Albon, you've got a rookie. I know that Sargent has actually driven in FP2, he's driven Jeddah before, but listen, he's never been here in an F1 race. There's a risk that obviously something happens.
Okay, I will say that I'm with you that there's going to be some cars that don't finish. I'm not sure that the Williams is the best spot for us to pick that. Okay. I actually had concerns with the AlphaTauri, and a big reason is the Honda power unit this weekend seems to have just forgotten its reliability package.
Okay, let's talk about that because I had them, so they're plus 120. Same bet, right? So for any car doesn't classify, we win the bet at plus 120.
So I would lean more on the AlphaTauri if we're going to say one car doesn't finish for a few reasons. They've also got the rookie in De Vries, who I think also spun in his first turn today because he didn't get the FP session.
He's never raced here at all.
And then I would say in general, Yuki probably finds more contact in his career than Alex Albon has, and the Honda power unit is looking like it's less reliable than the Mercedes unit, which seems to be a reliable unit.
That's fair.
Across the grid. So,
okay. What do you throw something out here? What do you have on your list?
The Combo Tricasts, right? You know the Combo Tricasts. Any finishing order, you pick three guys. If they're in the top three, you win the bet.
That's your podium.
There's 16. There's 16 of them.
Yeah.
There's also an option, a 17th option that says any other combo.
Is it plus 175?
No, it's plus 500.
Whoa.
All 16 combinations have a Red Bull car on the podium. If the engine fails, we saw it happen today, okay? If the engine failed, then all 16 of those lose. And the plus 500, it doesn't matter who goes on it. Checo's in 11 of them, and then Max is in the other 5. And some of them they double, but 11 of them have Checo, and 5 of them have Max.
So that's plus 500.
Any podium that doesn't have a Red Bull on it on the weekend where we're maybe seeing them have issues. I witnessed it today. Verstappen's 15th because he didn't get to qualify because his engine stopped working. An engine that they a gearbox that they replaced today.
I got to tell you what I think. I think it's going to be a $100 bet, if anything, that we would put down, and I think it's a waste of $100. And I know you're sitting there with the overtake and you're thinking, "Oh, this is the one."
I have the overtake. I don't know if this is the one, but I do have the overtake. So
I don't know. I think it's a waste of money. I don't So there has to be a combination. You're saying where one of them doesn't finish. No, it's both of them. It would have to be both of them don't finish up there.
Yeah, I'm saying Or
they both finish and Gasly's on the podium.
Neither finish.
Yeah.
Or something very random.
Something really random.
Both
of them in some random. No, I think it's a waste of money. I'm not even going to park it. No. Why don't we take a look at Alpine? I know,
I like Alpine.
You like Alpine. I like Alpine.
I like Alpine.
I like Alpine this week, and let's start with this. Let me start with the minus 200 on the board with Ocon points finish. Okay, this is the conservative
specifically
bet.
Ocon.
Yeah, we'll talk through it. I like the one car bets. Right? I'm not going to shy away from both cars points finish because that's a minus 120 that I had marked down. Do you have that marked down?
I have that marked down.
Do we want to talk about that at minus 120?
I like that one a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So this is a team that had reliability issues last year, and apparently the same as Ferrari, they worked diligently all off season to take care of those reliability issues. Of course they did. We know that they aggressively developed the power unit the same way as Ferrari, but I think the difference is it seems like Renault has kind of figured it out. It's only one race, but testing as well. They haven't had problems with the power unit. They haven't had to take major components yet. I think that's a good sign, right?
I'm with you.
We've already talked about Ferrari. We've already talked about the Red Bull. We saw the Mercedes and power unit last week with the McLarens have problems. Right now, essentially the only power unit on the board that hasn't had real concerns is the Renault power unit. But to make the point, to justify them, so they're starting in the top 10. I guess it's worth noting that they're in the points to begin with. They had great long run race pace. Both of them looked fantastic. And I think on balance that this car sets up better for race pace versus qualifying pace, but they both got to Q3. So like to me, and if you look at their overall pace from last year with both Gasly and both Ocon, across the board, across all 22 races they did, this was one of their better tracks, both of them. Both of them, I think, in terms of their overall pace across the weekend, I think this is both top 5 for them. So they're comfortable in Jeddah. I like it. I'm leaning that way right now.
I know you like this one.
Yeah. What's points? What is it?
Actually, maybe this is the Red Bull option. Just Red Bull in the top 10. 275. What did you want Checo at?
Minus 200? For him to win.
Minus 275. Both cars in the points.
Both cars in the points. Both cars in the points.
Both cars in the points. Red Bull minus 275.
Yeah, but are you not? So this is my. So you were so concerned before about some sort of problem with them, some sort of mechanical.
I'd love to pair this with the plus 500 that they're not on the podium, because they're either both going to be on the points and one of them's on the podium, or they have engine failure.
No, but we're not going to just change our philosophy to start hedging, though. I don't like that.
It's not a straight hedge, though.
It is a straight hedge. One of them has to not be on the podium. What do you mean, essentially? Or both of them have to not.
They can finish 5-6.
Yeah, but if they stay in the race, they're going to be in the top 3. They have the fastest car.
I don't know that it's a guarantee Max gets all the way. And he finished 4th last year from the same position.
I mean,
I'm a little concerned that Max has Charles right in front of him. Max doesn't get to just go through the midfield. He's got a Ferrari right in front of him, and then I know he's going to touch with Hamilton at some point when he's going through. He has never not. Every time they cross each other in the midfield, they touch.
Points finish minus 275. Sorry, I'm looking at the individual.
Like if I was going to throw minus 225 on the Aston Martin, I'd go 275 on the Red Bull.
Yeah. No, I agree. Can we just quickly go back to Alpine on maybe taking... So we said both cars' points finish minus 120, but can we look at Gasly minus 138? Just points finish? Just one car?
The lower of the two?
The lower of the two. But I'm not that I'm worried. Well, I mean, Ocon's minus 200, like if you wanted to explore that.
Yeah.
Like, do we... Well, what do you... Like, I think Gasly... To be honest, I mean, what's... Gasly is... What is he? 3... Is 2... He's 2 spots back or 3 spots back of Ocon?
Gasly is 9, Ocon 6.
He's 3. And his long run race pace was good. I had no problems with either of them, actually.
There's no value in...
I just want to think
for total classified drivers, something that... Because the points, I agree with the points you're making about this track, but that could happen to anyone we talk about.
Yeah, so why don't we take some of the risk out of it and let's just take one of those cars? So we both agree that we think they're going to finish in the points. We've already talked about minus 1. Like if we're going to go from minus 120 to minus 138 for Gasly, he has to finish in the points for that minus 120 to hit anyway. Why don't we just take the minus 138? Let's take the lower car because we've already acknowledged that we think he's going to be there. Let's get the extra points, man. Like think about the the offloading of risk that we do by taking a car off that bet, is it worth 18 points in the wrong direction? I think so.
No, I agree with you there. I'm just wondering. I'm just trying to think through if that's the right bet. Yeah.
Well, I think it's better than Ocon.
We had them there anyways. Yeah.
Right? Like, Ocon, like, you give up a lot with Ocon at minus 200. I think Gasly's the guy that you take.
And what's Gasly? 138?
I have him on the slip at minus 138. I don't know. It might have moved, but we can take a look.
Let's see. I got it live.
Okay. But that to me makes more sense, though. Because I'm leaning now more toward the Red Bull, but 138? Okay.
I like the Red Bull top 10. Yeah, Gasly.
Can we talk? Do you want to talk Ferrari? Because the only thing...
I don't think there's any value in Ferrari.
Okay, but what about plus 100 for Leclerc to beat Sainz? Plus money. Safety cars, closing the gap. Man, honestly, I go back to my point that I made earlier about Leclerc is the only car out of the two that's taken the new control electronics.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
is that Carlos DNF gets us there? Are you worried at all? Are you concerned that that Charles fights Max early in this race?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a concern, but
just to slow him down. It might take 2 laps to get through instead, rather than taking 1 lap.
I mean, there's a reason why it's a plus money bet, but I like the idea that 1 safety car or even 2 safety cars, like we've talked about, that closes the gap. Leclerc is the faster of the two. I don't think that's even a question. And I just like the idea in theory at this point, because you don't know anything about Ferrari, but because he's already taken both sets of control electronics, and it looks like they changed the internal combustion engine, I think one of the motor generator units on both cars, but they didn't do that to Sainz's car. They didn't change the control electronics on his car. I mean,
yeah.
How could that not be a future problem for them and the customers? Like, I could never go near the Haas or the Alfa Romeo at this point, because one of those cars is going to have a problem, and it's going to be control electronics related. And I don't know how Sainz, when is it going to happen to him? It could happen right away.
It could happen this weekend.
It could happen this weekend. Plus 100 though, right? Like, again, you only get that because he's starting back.
One of the things that is making me like it is the fact that Carlos just struggled all weekend, whereas Leclerc was P2 in qualifying.
Yeah, and so I don't want to overread it, because if you remember last week, I made a big argument that Carlos was having a tough time, and he had a lonely race. Like, he was pretty lonely in 4th, right? It just ended up that way.
I think the race dictated that what we thought would happen might happen. It's just Leclerc DNF'd and gave him a free space.
Yeah, and Leclerc was
going to P5, P6 in race pace.
Yeah, and he was never going to catch Leclerc. Like, I mean, I between the two of them, it's not close. Like, Leclerc is the superior driver.
And I do think because Carlos has struggled all weekend, if they get to a lap where they're side by side, the team might give him the orders. Hey, you're not on it this weekend. Let Charles go through.
Plus 100. Like, I like it because you don't have to worry about them and anybody else.
Plus 100.
But you never get that. You never get him. You'll never get him plus against Carlos, because they're usually starting beside each other.
Yeah.
Right? What do you have? Anything? What else do you have?
I mean, I had some stuff. I mean, this is a flyer. I wouldn't even say that I'm putting my weight on it, but Checo, Alonso, and Stroll. I mean, I like the look of the Aston Martin. I think Carlos has struggled this weekend. So if I take him out of the running for podium, then there's George Russell in the middle. Do we think the Mercedes is actually that fast enough to keep? You don't like Stroll, and I get that, but the Aston Martin looks good.
That's okay. Then let's. I actually trust Alonso already. So if you have something that you want to throw together with him,
Alonso podium minus one. Alonso podium minus 150.
Minus 150. He starts on the front.
I don't see from what I've watched this weekend, I don't see anyone that knocks Fernando off this podium unless they knock him out of the race. Max can come in there. That's fine. George
How
is not
flattered-
going to beat
Yeah, like
Fernando.
how again?
Carlos is not going to beat Fernando.
Is this a car? Okay, the only reason I know you're saying Carlos is not going to beat Fernando, but we don't know that though. We don't know that. Like, do we know?
I watched 3 hours of practice and
Yeah.
the entire qualifying. Carlos could not hook it up. He couldn't. He was P17, P11 all through practice sessions.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering
He's
because
P5 on the grid today.
He's P5 on the grid. Like they haven't been out there. Like the Aston Martin hasn't been out there.
I have the times there.
You have the times. You're looking at the times. I'm like they had. There's such extreme conflicts in Sakir, in Bahrain, right? And we know that because of the way that the Aston Martin and the Red Bull, both of them are designed, that they had a ton of rear tire left. And it's easy to be impressed with what Alonso did at the end of Bahrain, right? Like going by Lewis, going by Carlos, everybody's like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, he had tons of tire left. The car is set up on a rear limited circuit like Bahrain to be able to do that. Is it going to be enough in a completely different scenario? I get that he's got the one lap pace down, but I guess I got to see him show me. Like what did we minus 150?
He showed you last week, man. He showed
me last week in Bahrain. It's a different circuit, chaps. It's a different circuit.
And
it's
everyone
a higher downforce, higher abrasion circuit. It is. We know it's an outlier. Like it's an outlier circuit.
Everyone said coming into this weekend, and I said it on our Wednesday leans, look for the Ferrari to be ahead of the Aston Martin this week. They're not, dude. They're not. Fernando Alonso is there. FP1, Alonso second.
Right,
FP2, Alonso first.
Okay, park it. Mark it down. I'm not going to say.
I think we got a few things that we can get creative. I've got this overtake in my back pocket that I'm.
You love that, eh? Do you want it? Like
Not on that.
Okay, park it.
Do you have any? I think I've kind of commented on most of my list.
That's
Do you have
it.
anything that?
No, that's it. That was it. That for me, that's everything that I had.
Pew, 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 pew. I'm using my overtake, fucker. I'm putting this random combo Tricast. Yeah, I am. It's going to be a $50 sprinkle on top. It's be the fifth bet.
Okay,
and this is more, Mike. You got to listen to me. This is more about the fact that I don't think these combos every week are just, hey, if the Red Bull's not there, you win. I bet they mix them up a lot more where there's different. This is more the fact that I read through and every single one of them has one of the Red Bulls.
Okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue this anymore. Fine, take your stupid bet, and I get the overtake when you lose it. It is. It's
we'll
gonna, if it's going to be $50, it's going to be $50. So we have 5 bets, is what you're saying.
We have 5 bets.
Okay. How are we doing this? Let's divvy it up.
Yep. So we've got our best bet of the week, most likely the Red Bull, both cars to be in the top 10. It's minus 275. We're putting 350 on it. Second bet, we've got Fernando Alonso on the podium. It's minus 150. We're putting $250 on that one. Next up, we've got Pierre Gasly to stay in the points in the top 10. That's minus 138, and we're putting $250 on that. We've got the AlphaTauri to have at least one car not finish the race. It's plus 120, and we're putting $100 on that one. And then my overtake bet of the week from Chaps, we've got, now you have to look into it, but it's anything other than the 16 combination Tricast that are listed. It basically shakes down to any podium that does not have a Red Bull on it. You would win. It's plus 500, and I'm overtaking with $50 on it. Mike's shaking his head, but he doesn't own the overtake. I do.
Whatever.